Welcome to a new episode of Psicoactivo. This is my second video in a row. I hope I can keep cracking these out continuously. I'm going to ask you guys to please subscribe, like, comment. If you can share, that really helps the channel. Today is going to be a little different because I know yesterday's video was a little somber. I know, but it was necessary. We got some news coming out from the Vatican. At about 3 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, we're getting the first press conference from the Vatican since 1978, where they're going to talk about apparitions and other supernatural phenomena. And this is really interesting because people are starting to conflate that with UFOs. I don't think that's what's going to happen, to be honest with you. If it happens, I will be very surprised. But it is interesting to note that, for example, what Tucker Carlson said on Joe Rogan and what he's been saying about UFOs, that he thinks they have like a supernatural element to them. And people have been saying that some of them are demonic in nature, and there's this strange kind of war going on between demons and angelic beings, which is obviously up to interpretation, right? Something interesting that I will say is that people that I've talked to on the podcast, such as Danny Sheehan or Nick Cook, they seem to have a belief that this is actually part of the phenomenon. And I find that extremely fascinating. Also, we need to talk about Diana Pasulka, Professor Diana Pasulka, who obviously has gone to the Vatican and has studied a lot of stuff related to this. And there's this really nice part of the American Cosmic book where she talks with Dr. Jacques Valet.
Well, let's talk about Jacques Valet.
And so we were in his apartment, and he showed me his library, which is really amazing. But the most of the library was dedicated to these very old books of angels. And so he took out a couple and he showed them to me. And he had a whole row of angels and a whole row of like fallen angels type thing. And he made some jokes about it. Well, if you have one, you have to have the other kind of thing.
And he gave you a book at the end of your meeting with him that day. What was this book?
Okay, so
This book on the devil, right?
Well, it was a history of Satan.
Okay.
But yeah, the Pope is not going to talk. At least we're not expecting him to talk. There's going to be a lot of different types of bishops and archbishops who are going to talk. But we do have to talk about the Pope's connection to UFOs, because he does have one, and it's very, very interesting. As you guys know, he's from Argentina. I'm going to show a tweet that I made a while ago, because in one of Ross Coulthart's reality check shows from April the 3rd this year, he spoke about the Pope's connection to UFOs. And I had read about that before. I wasn't expecting Ross to talk about it, to be honest with you. And Pope Francis, his name is Jorge Mario Bergoglio. And he grew up in Argentina, as you may know. So one of his mentors, his name was Segundo Benito Reina, who was a Jesuit priest, and he used to be the director of the San Miguel Astronomy Observatory in Argentina. What really fascinates me about this father was that essentially he was like the Jaime Maussan of the 60s and 70s. He was the most famous ufologist from Latin America at that time. And the Pope grew up speaking to this man for many years and learning about the universe and learning about UFOs and the potential and the possibility of life outside of this world. And I find that really interesting to this occasion that is happening in the Vatican at 3 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm not saying that we're gonna get confirmation. People are expecting that for sure. But I honestly would be very surprised if that happened. All I'm saying is there are many connections. There are many different clues and different archives that the Vatican does have. Ross Coulthart spoke about this in one of the News Nation videos with Mr. Enton, and he did mention a lot of this material that they have and many of the secrets that they keep. And Dr. Pasulka also talked about this. And it is very interesting. They do know the reality of this. And it would be very, very interesting if, and funny too, kind of ironic, if the Catholic Church were the ones who came out and essentially made disclosure happen. So I'm doing this on purpose, a little late because it's gonna happen within a few hours, and we'll see what happens. We'll be looking, we'll be searching for this. I'm gonna drop some material. I'm gonna let Ross talk about this for a little bit, and here's Ross.
It's a very difficult situation. Firstly, good evening, Brian, of course, but I'd say it's a very difficult situation for the Vatican because if Mr. Grush is telling the truth, and I'm told he is, it's a difficult thing for the Vatican to admit without the US concurring. Just to respond to one question you were saying earlier, raising earlier, I'm told the Vatican does have a very efficient intelligence service, and it's long collaborated with intelligence services like the CIA, providing useful intelligence. And especially in the wake of the Second World War, there was a great collaboration between the Vatican and the CIA's anti-communist efforts in Italy. So, yeah, I mean, there's a long history, frankly, of backdoor communications. Even though there was no diplomatic relations until '84, there's absolutely no doubt that people from US intelligence, very senior people indeed, were in the Vatican and indeed in Italy extensively at the end of World War II.
And the Vatican has clearly kept secrets before, Ross. I mean, Susie mentioned that they're now opening up the documents. There's going to be a lot to go through. But, I mean, who's to say some of those documents didn't get pulled out?
Well, it's funny. I've talked to a friend of mine, Professor Diana Walsh Pasulka, who wrote a great book called American Cosmic. And she was one of the few academics who's been given privileged access to the secret Vatican archives. And the way she describes it, it's quite extraordinary getting access. See, there's a whole process you have to go through to become sufficiently credentialed to be able to gain access. And even then, obviously, it's, as you say, it's at the discretion of the people who run the archive what you get to see. There are, just to give you an idea of the scale, the archive runs underground under the Vatican, and Diana's written that there are 53 miles of shelving. That's how much they have in the Vatican archive.
Wow, that is hard to even think about someone having time to go through all that, especially again, if the historians were going in looking for other archives related to World War II, they may have not even been looking for this stuff. Maybe that'll change now. You know, since we've started covering this, science and religion, UFOs and religion, I mean, it's a tough topic for some folks who have a strong faith to go there.
Look, 390 years ago, it was the Vatican that tried Galileo as a heretic for arguing that the Earth wasn't at the center of the universe. And in nearly 400 years, I have to say the Vatican has actually shown quite creditable openness to science. And in fact, they've held two conferences on the possibility of extraterrestrial life, one in 2005 and another in 2009. And back in 2009, Father Reverend Joseph Gabriel Funes, who was the head then of the Vatican Observatory, he actually said that believing that the universe may host aliens, even intelligent ones, does not contradict a faith in God. We are all God's children. How can we rule out that life may have developed elsewhere, he said. Just as there is a multitude of creatures on Earth, there could be other beings, even intelligent ones, created by God. This does not contradict our faith because we cannot put limits on God's creative freedom. And everything I've read about the Vatican suggests that a lot of the work they're doing at the moment is trying to demonstrate that there is no incompatibility between religious beliefs and good science. And in fact, they've also held a conference on evolution, the theory of evolution, and actually excluded the proponents of creative design. But there are factions in the Vatican that push the idea that there is a creative design and that evolution theory is wrong. But I would have to say the Vatican's shown an enormous open-minded to science. And I just wonder, I can only speculate, whether it's driven by information that it does possess, as Mr. Grush suggests.
Okay, so very interesting what Ross has to say. I will also drop a little clip of Chris Bledsoe, who, as you may know, he's an experiencer. He has this book called The UFO of God, where he talks about this lady.
Didn't want to hear about the lady. They wanted to hear about the river event. So it was a very traumatic thing. And that bonded Diana and I for all these years to where that's how we became to know one another. But the crazy thing is immediately when she left, that's when I began to document everything. I could get pictures. I could take you out and share it with you. Only after she came.
Only after the lady came.
Yep.
What do you think the bull symbolized?
I don't know, but I know this. It got the attention of Diana and the Vatican and CIA, NASA, and everybody. DOD, even the Ministry of Defense in Britain, Australia, all these people. They wanted to know about the lady immediately, let me tell you. In fact, I put it in writing to 2 generals at the Pentagon what she told me. I was asked to do that.
I have a whole bunch of questions in my head right now, but I want to try to figure out how to pick this apart a little bit. First of all, Steve, do you remember when we were talking to Randall the other day, we were going through the different ages in the Great Year?
Yeah.
What age are we in now as far as like the constellations? That's the first thing I thought about is like the age of the bull and the lion.
We're in Aquarius.
We're in Aquarius right now.
Like that song, Age of Aquarius.
Right. Oh yeah, we were singing Age of Aquarius. And what's the next one?
Gosh.
Is there a way you can pull up like a diagram, that circular diagram he was showing us?
Well, let me tell you what she told me. She said that there was a shift in the powers of the heavens and that she had been away. The feminine energy was about to come back and there wasn't no stopping it, and that there would be a shift, and that shift would be into Aquarius, and that the divine feminine would come back as the energy that would create 1,000 years of peace. That's what she told me. There'd be trouble first, but in time that peace would come to this world.
And this is one of the phenomena that the Vatican is going to talk about, which is Marian apparitions, which essentially is what this lady is about. This lady spoke to Bledsoe. She talked to him about premonitions that would happen, and it's really interesting. So essentially, that's the video for today. Let's see what happens. Until next time, bye-bye.